there's something really beautiful about a group of people that continue over time to see each other and deepen these relationships.
100%. Yeah.
Because we get to go through all of the ups and downs of life and all the raw, real things that happen, and to really witness and hold space and support each other through it.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Freedom Culture Podcast. We are here with Sabrina, who is, now I have to remember it all, an astrologer, a yoni yoga instructor, and a menstrual and reproductive health coach. Yeah.
Hi, Sabrina.
Hi.
Yes.
Such a pleasure to sit down with you.
It is. I'm really happy to be here. I'm looking forward to this.
Wonderful medicine woman.
Thank you.
Yeah. And we're going to dive right in because right before we press record, Julian was very curious as to what a yoni yoga instructor is.
Sure. So
Give us the goods, yeah.
Yeah. Yoni yoga is the term that I'm using, and a few other people have been using too, to describe a particular practice of yoga where we're working on tapping into our sacral chakra center, activating our pelvic floor, and it's using 5,000-year-old practice of Chinese jade eggs. So this was a Taoist practice that was introduced for the empresses and concubines of the royal palace to be able to really strengthen their sexual energy and fertility. Of course, that was initially, I think, the reasoning for using it. But it's for women to really connect more deeply with their sexuality in a sacred way, with their womb space. It helps prepare women for birthing. It helps rehabilitate the womb if women have already had children. It can help with a lot of menstrual and reproductive health issues and concerns. And I just think that helping women connect more deeply with their lower centers and really feel deeply connected to their womb and the wisdom that they hold there, and how to clear and release and let go of energy that's often stored in there is just so important to do, and it's been a big part of my journey. So I share that, and it's a combination of different breathing practices as well as asana movement, but we're using these jade eggs that we're wearing internally and contracting our pelvic floor and working against them as a way to really strengthen that energy down there.
Yeah, sounds, as a woman, that sounds intense, but
Yeah, it can be.
As a man, I can only hardly relate. there are a few things that come to mind that men can do to practice that contraction.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah, and does that ties in then to the menstrual and reproductive coaching?
Yeah, so that journey is, I was diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome, and I guess I was about 25 years old. And traditional gynecological medicine really wanted to put me back on birth control, and I was just really not interested in going the Western route. And so I went and got a master's in health and wellness coaching, focusing on nutrition and herbal medicine, specifically on endocrine health, to help reverse this, which at the time everyone was saying that there's no way to reverse it. But I did within 6 months, and I'm like, wow, this is a really important information to know. So I really got into utilizing food and herbs as a way to help heal the body and work with our menstrual cycles and really connect to that rhythm. But then I discovered that there's so much power and sacredness in our cycles, and that it's more than just balancing and managing that it's actually unlocking an incredible power that we have. And so then I got into more kind of esoteric practices around working with the womb, and that's kind of how I ended up to doing the yoni yoga.
That sounds brilliant. And how does, I'm just looking at your necklace, because that's your astrology chart from when you were born, and you make them. Does that tie into the practice as well, or is that like a separate thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a Jacqueline of many trades, I suppose. There's many things that I'm interested in. Yeah. But I've been involved in making jewelry for a long time. It was always just like a passion of mine in terms of a craft. But years ago, when I got into astrology, I've been practicing astrologer now for a little over a decade. I was really excited to teach all of my friends about their charts. And, I'd show them their birth chart, and they're like, I don't know, this is crazy to understand. What are all these really symbols? Yeah. And so one year it was for Christmas, and I was wanted to make handmade gifts for my girlfriends. And I just had this lightning bolt moment where I was like, whoa, a birth chart actually looks like a blueprint for a necklace. And so I started creating these birth chart necklaces, and I was finding different gemstones that I felt energetically resonated with the archetypes of the signs and planets, and also sort of look like them. And originally it was more of a necklace style, but I've just rebranded, and I'm making them as
super
malas
beautiful
now.
For someone who loves malas and is
Yeah.
definitely into astrology. I find the bridge between the very airy, very lofty mental kind of ideas of astrology that it's all in my head in that sense.
Right.
To the somatic experience of like counting beads.
Yes. Yeah. It's a tangible.
Please make me one of those.
Totally, I would love to. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think it's helpful to make it tangible, right? Yeah, it's
Exactly.
a teaching tool, and people can see it, and like, oh, this is my Venus, this is where it is, and help them remember too. Because you ask people, no, oh yeah, I've had my chart done, and then I'm like, okay, well, where's what? And they're like, oh, I don't remember,
Yeah.
And it's like, well, astrology is only useful if you're actually finding ways to use it practically in your life, and
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing for me is like I don't want to just teach astrology so we can it's cool to just kind of geek out on it,
Yeah.
but if it's not actually helping you in some way, what's the point? So yeah, I want to really ground it down in ways that people can utilize it in really practical ways in their lives to make them better and to help self-actualize.
Cool. Have you been doing all of the astrology and the healing, and has that always been like a part of your life, or is there a switch at some point where you were like, look, this is what I'm really called to do, I'm going to step away from whatever you were doing before?
Sure, yeah, I've done a lot of things. I've definitely had a wide variety of different professions over the years. For a while, I was working in health food stores, was manager of a health food store for a really long time. And then once I finished that master's program I was talking about, I went and worked as a health and wellness coach in a large integrated medical institute in DC. And I've also done Thai massage. I've also taught yoga, and so I think that the wide variety of experiences and careers that I've had, I've tried to kind of synergize and bring to bear into what I do. But I like to change it up. I like to learn new things,
Oh, I can resonate with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Sure.
I think things like that come in phases and cycles. Sabrina, what I want to know is, being a Jacqueline of all trades and kind of being exposed to some really cutting edge, let's call them yoga modalities. How did you find your way to freedom culture, and what does freedom culture really mean to you?
Interesting. Okay, how did I find my way here? Well, through David Weber, which is probably an answer that a lot of people give. But I had been invited years ago to a gathering called Singing Alive, which is a group of people come together to share music and sacred song. And this was going on in Asheville, and that's when I first met David and connected. And I was like, there's something about this human being. I want to know like what his whole thing is, what he does. And I shared a little bit about my astrology with him, and got into that galactivated space together. So he called me up and invited me to the first mastermind. I'd never experienced anything like this group before. And I feel like in some ways, doing the work that I've done, so I've been sort of privileged to be like a leader in what I'm sharing and doing. And it's kind of easy to be comfortable in that space where you're sort of like teaching to people that don't know and are like new to all of this.
Yeah.
And so when I first came to Freedom Culture last year, I was so confronted by how amazing everyone was. And it brought up so many of my own insecurities about like, do I belong here? Like, am I as like badass as all these people? And I was actually really grateful for being triggered in that way, because it's really helped me more deeply step into my power and my leadership. And I'm still on that journey. And so I knew that I had to come back, and more I feel like, this is my tribe. And I want to continue to surround myself with people who are doing such inspiring and amazing things and uplifting the vibration. I just feel so deeply blessed to be connected with all of you and to be here and share this space together. I think we're doing something really powerful for the world. I think it's rippling out. I think it's making such a huge difference, and it's time.
Yeah, it makes me laugh a little that you're like, oh, am I supposed to be here? And I'm like, because, we've known each other 7 or 8 days now. But yeah, like your power and your like feminine embodiment of just like a pillar of strength is so clear to me. So that you're like, oh, I don't know. It's just like, oh, girl.
Thank you for saying.
Yeah.
I appreciate the reflection.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, I want to throw something in there.
Okay. Bring it on.
I'm gonna ask you some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Go for it.
You can say yes, no, either or.
Okay.
Cool. What do you prefer? Planting trees or flying to Mars?
Planting trees.
Swimming in ocean water or lake water?
Lake.
Sleeping in a tent or a cabin?
Tent.
What about the jungle or the desert?
Jungle.
Jungle.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thunder showers or sunshine?
Thunder showers.
I have to say, I think you're the only person I know that said tent so far.
Yeah.
I mean, he's asked with 3 people like that I've heard these questions, and yeah, tent. Interesting.
I sleep best outside. I just right before coming to on the mastermind, my partner and I went to Colorado. We did a 4-day camping and canoe trip down the Colorado River, and there's just something about sleeping outside where I get a much deeper level of sleep than I do anywhere else. And it's not like that was impossible in a cabin, but I think there's something about actually sleeping with my body on the ground, that grounding energy when I sleep. There's no more deeper sleep than that for me. Yeah. And actually I prefer the Florida beds most times actually. So
Interesting.
Yeah.
Like with mattress or just full on like put me on the ground?
For years I was sleeping with a Thai massage mat on the floor. You know, it was like a little bit of cushioning, but I just like really like that firmness, and I feel like it's been much better for my body and my back than sleep. Like soft beds are really hard for me. I end up just rolling around and going on the floor anyway. So
I hate soft beds too, but do you find it like just connecting with the earth, like you can feel that?
Yeah,
it's kind of like walking barefoot.
Yeah,
you need to do it every day.
I really need it personally. I know that energetically for me, if I'm not making conscious effort to be grounding in the world, that I get really like high up here and I feel really disconnected. So yeah, to me, I have to incorporate regular practices that are bringing me back to being totally grounded and embodied.
Boom.
Yeah,
I totally resonate.
Yeah.
I feel like it doesn't make you a better person to hang out barefoot in the jungle, but certainly my body is so energized. Especially Punta Mona. For all of you who have not yet been to Punta Mona or a venue like that, that's like somewhere at the edge of the world.
Eco-village.
An eco-village, permaculture destination. Literally Punta Mona, the moment my body stepped back onto that land, my body remembered the energy from last year.
Yes, I felt like an animal again when I was there too. Like I come alive in a way where my instincts are really sharp, and I just feel that. I wanted to say something about that ocean or lake question because I think that's really interesting. Lake is what came out originally for me because I've actually struggled for years about having a fear of waves, and this trip and being in Punta Mona and then here, I really broke through that in a huge way, and I let myself like really go deep in the water and swim and play in the waves, and that has been a block for me for a very, very long time because of an early trauma. And I'm just like, I kind of want to like reframe that. I want to re-answer that question now, and I want to say ocean maybe because I've always felt so much more comfortable in lakes because there were not waves, but I really had a huge breakthrough around feeling safe and comfortable in the engulfment of the ocean and not being in such a defensive stance against it and the waves, but letting myself really dance with them. And so that's been part of my medicine on this trip, really. And that was a personal healing that was happening for me. Yeah.
Beautiful metaphor.
Yeah.
I feel like there are so many things in life that, you know, I feel, I wouldn't say insecure, but let's say vulnerable, or I can feel myself being in this space of rawness. And maybe the default version of me turns around and goes away, or, you know, backs up and is like, oh my God, this is maybe more than I can handle right now. But there's this depth when we are with community. There's this depth when, well, for me, when I'm barefoot, and I can kind of trust the earth in that sense of leaning in and leaning forward. And I like how you're on that journey with the ocean right now, because the ocean it's like the biggest gift on this planet, I believe, you know.
Yeah. So where you and your partner Jad, where are you guys based?
Right now we're based in Humboldt County, California, up in the Redwoods.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's been beautiful medicine for me. I actually grew up in the suburbs around Washington, D.C., like 20 minutes from the White House, so a really different place and a community that's very different than here. And I always knew that was not my space and I didn't belong. And so a few years ago, I had gotten out of a marriage, I got divorced, and I was like, I need to just go travel. I want to feel like the world is smaller than it feels to me right now. And, you know, that was part of the journey I think that ultimately led me here. But I found myself really drawn to Northern California and the medicine of the redwoods there. Yeah. And I'm beginning to lead retreats out there right now, and bringing people to kind of share in the healing and the medicine of that land.
Yeah, because I know that we've talked before about how you have, you work with like not a women's circle, but like a tribe of women who come together every month. Is that something you grew up with as a little girl in DC?
Yeah, I know. Well, it's like of all places too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was invited when I was 13 years old with my best friend to join this women's new moon. We called it a new moon hoop. It was based on a traditional shumash, indigenous ceremony, but it's for women to come together during the new moon to pray, to sing, to drum, to share space, and to really replenish ourselves for the coming month. And that was just one of the greatest blessings I've ever been given, because I don't know for you, but for me at 13, middle school, my relationship with girls and women was really challenging, you know, and so to be invited into a space with mothers and elders and to be just fully seen and loved, and it became church for me, and I was part of that. I still am part of that, even though I don't live there, but that was I connected with those women every month for years, and since then I've gone and initiated some circles myself, and I do hold new moon ceremonies up in Humboldt for our community there. There's something really beautiful about a group of people that continue over time to see each other and deepen these relationships.
100%, yeah.
Because we get to go through all of the ups and downs of life and all the raw, real things that happen, and to really witness and hold space and support each other through it. And yeah, we just need more of that in the world. And I'm grateful that there's more men's circles happening now too. I think bringing all of us together is so important, but I think that time we spend individually is really important too.
Yeah, I think I love what you said about the generation. I grew up in a community in Amsterdam, and it was like a community building, but then the generation, so I was a teenager there, but then there's also older generations, and just being able to witness that wisdom and like interact with it every day. And I know we've talked about this before, where it's so important in the women's circle that we just had, where there was this like lack of generational gaps, or there was a huge gap missing of older women mostly. And that wisdom is so important. Yeah, I love that you said that.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel that way too. I think it's really weird that in our culture we kind of take people and group them together by age and kind of like isolate them, you know?
I think it's super unnatural.
It is so unnatural.
Only really in school and university that truly happens, right?
Yeah.
I think because of school and university.
Exactly. And I just think that we have so much to learn from the children. We have so much to learn from the elders. We need to be bringing all these generations together, you know, and then we get to participate in the larger story that's happening. Yeah. I'd love to see more of that.
Is that something that you try and focus on within your practice?
You know, I probably draw a lot of people in terms of clients that are really within my age group, but I'm totally open, you know. I actually got very excited. I had one of my new clients that I started seeing for health coaching work is a 15-year-old girl who's developing a relationship with her cycle now, you know, and that was so exciting for me. Like, I've been really, really looking forward to having, you know, because, you know, I don't know what it was like for you, but for me, it was like we grew up with this stigma around it, and it's like the curse, and like, oh no, I got my period, and this whole thinking around it that in my journey I had to undo and unlearn, but to be able to offer that to someone early on and have them see it as the seat of their power, rather than this thing that we have to just deal with and then hide and, you know, whatever. I feel really blessed to be able to share that with younger women.
As a man, the hiding culture of that is very perplexing as a teenager. You're suddenly like even more separated. And then there's this thing going on that you kind of understand, but you totally don't understand because no one, well, when I grew up, I was born in 87, in the mid 90s, when I went through that phase, I guess, you know, late 90s, no one talked with me about what menstruation was. I mean, my parents placed a book in front of me so I could read it, which I definitely did multiple times. But you know what I'm saying? Like there was like just the continuation of like hiding. I can only imagine that might have been shame and blame and fear and guilt on the other side.
Yeah. That's the thing. The hiding is where, I mean, shame thrives in places where we're not willing to open up and expose and talk about it. Yeah, so I feel like we need to create more containers to be able to talk about that. And there's nothing to me more sexy than a man that feels really comfortable with like a woman's body in all states, you know, and that is like curious and open and wanting to share in that. And I'm like, that's a true man, in my opinion, you know. And I think that being able to be more open to that and having those conversations and inviting that in, because, you know, it is a mysterious power that we carry as women to be able to carry life in this way, you know. And so I can understand that it is very mysterious, but we can bring it out from the shadows and actually
demystify it.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited. I'm teaching a course as soon as I get back to Humboldt. I teach a lot of local classes and workshops there, but it's going to be called Love Potions, Blood Mysteries, and Sex Magic. And I'm really
sad I don't live in Humboldt right now.
I'm hoping to actually make it into an online offering as well. So yeah, I had several people want to be there for that. So But yeah, I'm doing my part to bring that forward a little bit.
Yeah, so what are some projects some future projects, though obviously this course, and what are other ones that you're working on, like things you want to work for?
Totally. I'm really excited about an upcoming retreat I have. I haven't done a retreat for about a year, and I learned when I moved to Humboldt that I really wanted to connect with the women there. And previously, having been traveling and being on the East Coast, I was connecting with more women who were able to just kind of get up and leave and go out of the country and have this epic adventure in Mexico or Greece or something.
Yeah.
But when I arrived in Humboldt, I felt such strong connection to the land there and to the women there, and I wanted to start working with them. But there's a lot more single mothers in that community and who are not necessarily able because of time or financial constraints to be able to just leave the country and to do a retreat whenever they want. Not everyone's life is set up that way.
Yeah.
And so that was why I really hadn't put a whole lot of energy into doing retreats. And the economy of Humboldt County is changing a lot. I'd love to share a little bit about that because it's probably what it's most known for is the cannabis industry. And because of legalization in California, there's a lot of women who have been kind of financially sustaining their families on working in the cannabis industry, and now we're trying to find ways to do it legally or maybe changing careers or how we can actually continue to keep the economy of Humboldt working really well. And this is where the redwoods are. There's no trees like this anywhere else in the world. We're on the Pacific coast. It's one of the most beautiful places. The land itself is so sacred. It has such medicine. And then this medicine itself is so sacred. And although it's been abused and used in many ways that I think are disrespectful and as kind of a recreational drug, I think that it also is offering us so many other types of medicine. So I'm really excited to start bringing more conscious cannabis tourism to Humboldt County, California. So this coming June, from the 15th to the 22nd, I'm doing an all-women's conscious cannabis retreat. We're going to talk about really educate women on how to use cannabis in a variety of different ways. We're not just talking about smoking THC. We're talking about even things like vaginal suppositories, using CBD medicine, and the ways that we can utilize it for our health, specifically for women's wellness issues. Because I think that it has a lot to offer in that realm. And then offering a really beautiful cannabis ceremony that's led. Doing some ganja yoga, which we've got some amazing
That's always
teachers.
Fun.
Yeah, and I really want to support local female-owned businesses that are offering plant medicine and herbal extracts that they're sharing. So, yeah, that's my new endeavor that I'm really excited about.
It's a very powerful offering you're cultivating. I think the CBD market or the CBD healing potential is yet to be explored, really, right? Like there's such a focus on smoking a joint and getting high in the perception of cannabis, but I guess the healing potential really is in the CBD and topical or like even, as you said, like using it in either stimulating ways or simply healing ways with your body. A lot becomes possible that even just 5 years ago would have boggled all our minds.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think the medicinal practices are only just, I guess, coming to light, because in older medicinal practices, they were kind of already aware of this, and then we've just abused it, and now it's coming back to wait, let's take a step back. There's so much power here.
Let's use it for healing. Let's use it for ceremony.
Totally.
Yeah, I might have to move out to Humboldt.
Well, at least come out and visit.
Yeah,
come
for
out
sure.
and visit. You have a place to stay.
Yeah, come out to
Absolutely.
California, Jara.
Yeah, come on over.
Sabrina, where can people find you? What's the best way to be in touch with you, to learn more about your work?
Sure, my website's goddessalchemist.com, and you can also find me on Instagram, goddess_alchemist.
Cool.
Probably
We'll
best
put
way to
links
get
in the
touch with me.
comments.
Yeah, that
so
would
that's
be wonderful.
easy to find. Yeah. Oh man, I'm so excited to see where this all goes and to watch it expand and come visit.
Yeah, please do. Thank you so much. I'm so encouraged by this community and this group, and I really feel such a immense support. And there's so many other incredible people here that I want to support, and just seeing how we're all able to come together, share our gifts, and co-create is just so incredible.
Community.
Yeah.
Thank you. And you who are listening, you're supported as well. So keep watching those episodes. Reach out to us. Check out Sabrina's website maybe. And get closer. I think community is something we're all looking for. And support is there, but also it takes somebody to be courageous enough to make the first step and say, hey, I want to actually be supported by you or by this tribe, these people.
Yeah.
This way of thinking, this way of feeling, this way of living.
Cool. It's been wonderful. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much.